let's dive straight into probably the most common and very real question that comes up for, I think, every practitioner at some stage. And that is, what if I feel like an imposter? We're all going to feel like an imposter. It's normal. Imposter syndrome is something I've personally experienced, worked my way through it. I've heard it over and over again from different practitioners, healers, teachers, guides, people that have been in service for years, and they're like, "Oh my God, I suck at what I do. I'm an imposter. I'm a fraud." Like you name it, I've seen it, and like I've said it, and I've been there. That feeling of, who am I to do this work? Am I qualified enough? Am I gifted enough? What if I'm just pretending? What if it's all in my head? What if it's just my imagination? So let's chat about imposter syndrome and dealing with this big question of, what if I feel like an imposter? Because it's such a prevalent thing for us. And how we can navigate imposter syndrome, because we really can work our ways through this. Like, we're not stuck feeling like imposters for the rest of our life, because it's something that really can get in the way and stop you from offering the medicine that you have to the world, and we don't want that. So the first thing to know is that imposter syndrome is completely normal. Like, you're not weird or obscure or anything for feeling like an imposter, and feeling like an imposter doesn't mean that you are one. So it's normal, but it doesn't mean that you're one. In fact, those who doubt themselves are often the ones who take their responsibility the most seriously. They take the work that they do the most seriously. They put in the most amount of effort. Think about it. If you're questioning your abilities, it shows that you care very deeply about the impact that you have on the people that you work with, that you're offering your medicine to. And that is hugely different from someone who, just charges ahead like a ball in the china shop without any reflection, without ethics, without any accountability. They're just like, "Oh, I'm amazing and I'm here and I'm fabulous at what I do." So when that voice of doubt shows up, it's very rarely a red flag. Okay, it's not something to stress about, like, "Oh my God, I suck at this." Sometimes it's actually a sign that you're so deeply invested in doing this work and doing this work well. Like, you are coming from good intentions. You're being a good person. Imposter syndrome usually has roots in things like comparison, competition, where you see someone with more experience or more followers, or they get more interactions on their post, or they have more trainings and certifications, more years of experience, and you start to think, I'm never going to measure up to that person. I'm never going to meet that person on their level. You're not supposed to. It can also come from the myth that you have to know everything before you can work with clients. And I have discussed this in one of my previous videos. Go and watch that episode, because here's the truth. You don't have to know everything. You just need to know your scope, your limits, and your tools, of course. Like, know your modalities, but obviously on-the-job training has far more benefit than, just the theory. And then work with integrity inside of that. I remember early on, I would sit in sessions thinking, what if they ask me something I can't answer? Like, what if I put a card down on the table and I freak out and I can't remember what the card means? And here's what I learned. Clients don't come to you expecting you to be an all-knowing oracle. And the ones that do, they're not the type of client that we want to be seeing anyway. They're coming to you for perspective, your presence, and your unique way of guiding, your unique medicine, the way that you do your modalities. They're coming for you. That said, imposter syndrome has a shadow side, a bit of a dark, murky side. If left unchecked, it can paralyze you. It can absolutely keep you from stepping forward. It will keep you from sharing your medicine, and it will absolutely keep you from serving people who genuinely need you, that they want you and they want what you offer. They need what you offer. And it can also feed the endless cycle of, I just need one more course, I just need one more certification. And yes, I discussed the certification in another episode of my Practitioner Pitfall series. Please go and watch that before you feel ready. So don't get stuck in the certification trap either, because that can be a form of avoidance, rather than growth. So the key is to listen to the doubts, but don't let the doubts drive the car. Okay, you're the driver, they're just a backseat passenger. Let them passenger and work as a reminder to stay humble and reflective, but don't let those imposter voices and thoughts, don't let them hold the steering wheel. Okay, don't let them drive the car. You will crash and you will have an accident. Here's a few ways you can work with imposter syndrome. Instead of you're trying to work against your imposter syndrome. And the first is to acknowledge it openly. Simply saying to yourself, I feel like an imposter. I feel like a fraud right now. It takes away quite a bit of its power, because you're naming it, you're acknowledging it. And the next is to check your scope of practice. Check in with yourself. Do you know the tools that you work with? Do you know your modalities? Do you know your limits and your ethics and your principles and your boundaries? And if yes, then you're in integrity. If not, that's where you can grow and you can be better. You can also shift your focus from yourself to being of service. So instead of asking, am I enough? Am I good enough for this? Try asking, how can I best support this person right now? So you're shifting your perception of in session, which is super helpful, because that moves you from fear and panic and anxiety into presence and being in the moment. Building reflective practices like journaling, supervision, or having a mentor is also incredibly powerful for navigating and working through imposter syndrome, because it gives you a space where you can be fully open and honest and transparent about your doubts without having to worry about judgment or shame or discrimination. And finally, remember that authenticity is medicine, and or your authentic self is your best medicine you can give to the world. Clients don't need your perfection. They need you to be real and present and congruent. They're not worried about, you feel like a fraud or you're an imposter. They're there for you. So if you've been asking yourself, what if I feel like an imposter? Know that you are absolutely not alone. It is very normal. Most practitioners, probably all practitioners, feel this at some point. In fact, not just practitioners, professionals in other fields experience imposter syndrome. The difference lies in how you respond to it. You can let it silence you, you can let it take your power, you can let it keep you from your work, or you can allow it to help you remain humble and grounded and real. Your voice, your style, your way of holding space, like, it's needed. You are needed. Your medicine is needed. And often the very fact that you're questioning yourself is absolute proof that you care enough to do this work with integrity. Like, you care about how you show up. You care about how the world will see you as a medicine person, and that in itself is a beautiful thing. But when it destabilizes you and it hinders you and it gets in your way, that's when it becomes problematic. I do have a resource available in my book session on the Tam Dillon Academy. It is the Imposter Syndrome Toolbox. Absolutely download it. It's got some phenomenal tools and practices to help you work through this. And of course, you know that I'm here in a mentoring capacity. If this is something that you feel is really hindering you as a medicine person, it's keeping you from doing your work, and you really want to move past it and shift through it, I am absolutely here to help you.